Another day, another victory for the OGs. On the channel today, we're going to be talking about 5 of the biggest ADP drop-offs in the month of August. So at the time of me recording this video, August 22nd to August 1st, we're going to analyze some of the biggest drop-offs in ADP this off. If you're new to the channel and you like fantasy football content, feel free to hit the subscribe button down below. Only takes a couple seconds, and I'll even give you the time to do so. Get that? Hold on. I'll give you a couple more. Alright, cool. Roll the intro. Before I give my first player on this list, I decided to just completely bypass and ignore Javon Baker, who is the biggest drop-off in ADP out of everyone, because, let's be honest, no one was really drafting him with high hopes anyway, and now that the New England Patriots offense is not deemed fantasy relevant yet again, there is really no reason to draft a guy like Javon Baker. But coming up first, someone that I've already spoken about on the channel a few times now, that would be running back of the Los Angeles Chargers, Kamani Vidal, who's fallen over 8 spots on Underdog. Again, like I mentioned in one of the previous videos, there just really hasn't been a lot of buzz around Kamani Vidal. It seems like the reports are coming out that Jarrett Patterson is going to be the RB3 on the depth chart. So I don't like the situation currently, even if Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins go down with injuries, which is a long shot, that Kamani Vidal is going to be somebody who gets a lot of volume and opportunity in 2024. I would personally love to be wrong about the Kamani Vidal situation, but if I had to give advice to the viewers, I would say that this is obviously a player that the fantasy community is avoiding, and it's for good reason. The next biggest faller in ADP over the last month has been wide receiver of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Roman Wilson. Again, this is probably someone we had no desire to draft in a redraft format, but Roman Wilson going into training camp did have an interesting potential to be, second in command in targets in the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. But given that there's still some uncertainty about who's going to play quarterback and how good the passing offense can be in an Arthur Smith type of offense where they're going to run the ball and run the ball often, it only makes sense for Roman Wilson's ADP to drop, and I would not advise taking him if he was available. Coming up next, we have Elijah Mitchell, and I kind of spoke about this briefly on a different video on this channel, but Elijah Mitchell is somebody we expected to be the Christian McCaffrey handcuff if something were to go wrong with Christian McCaffrey. Now, I'm sure a lot of people were drafting him much higher in July because of the Christian McCaffrey quote-unquote injury news that came out, but being a mixture of Christian McCaffrey's going to probably start week 1 healthy with no limitations whatsoever, and the fact that Jordan Mason is actually going to probably play more of the backup running back position to Christian McCaffrey than an Elijah Mitchell is going to. So for all of those reasons, it's very warranted to, take a step back and avoid Elijah Mitchell if possible, because I don't really see too much of a potential unless both McCaffrey and Jordan Mason were to suffer an injury this season. Following Elijah Mitchell, this is probably the first guy I'd be willing to take a chance on, but there are some concerns here, and that would be Josh Downs of the Indianapolis Colts. Of course, we have the concern here with going into the season, he's going to miss at least 4 to 6 weeks, they're reporting. But that 4 to 6 week timeline started over 2 weeks ago. So we're going to miss, week 1 potentially, or the latest be back by week 3 or week 4? Kind of seems like his dropping ADP is not really that warranted. I understand when he comes back from injury, he could fall in line as the 3rd best wide receiver on the roster if Adonai Mitchell breaks out in his rookie season. Again, this is kind of a long shot, even though I'm buying into the talent of Adonai Mitchell, but Josh Downs was phenomenal in training camp, and all the reports and all the buzz was talking about how great he was. So if you could get Josh Downs on a discount this year, I say draft him. I feel like this is somebody that could end up coming back around and really hitting his stride around like week 12, week 13, when you're fighting for a playoff spot, or even better, later on in the season when you're in the playoffs and you need high-quality production from somebody. Out of any of these dropping ADPs that I feel like are worth a draft pick, I would definitely say take a chance on Josh Downs. Just make sure you obviously have enough wide receiver depth that you're not relying on him in the first few weeks of the season, but it could end up being something that works out in your favor this year. Final player on this list in the biggest drop-offs in the month of August His name was just mentioned recently in the news as someone that was traded, and that's none other than the new Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver, Jahan Dotson, who's dropped over 5 spots in ADP since the beginning of the month of August. Now, I personally am not going to be drafting Jahan Dotson at his ADP change because we know in terms of where he ranks in the Philadelphia Eagles offense, he probably won't be any better than 4th in targets behind A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, maybe even Dallas Goedert, or even potentially Saquon Barkley. It does benefit him that he's going to be in a much better offensive situation and more of a fantasy-friendly offense in the Philadelphia Eagles. But if the Commanders felt like he wasn't gaining much separation from a guy like De'Ami Brown in training camp, I don't really have much interest in grabbing Jahan Dotson. I at one point may have thought early in the offseason that he could have potentially been a league winner given his ADP price and how I projected the Commanders' offense to be a lot better than what people thought. But given this news, given that they were willing to trade him, and I feel like the Eagles low-key gave a little too much for somebody that the Commanders were down and out on, basically. Someone that they were thinking about cutting to get a third-round pick in 2025 and other assets. I felt like they really hit it out of the park with that trade. So those are the 5 biggest decreases in ADP since the month of August. I know these aren't very pretty names. These are all names that we probably didn't have interest in drafting in the first place, except maybe Josh Downs when we were hearing positive reports. But I still think Josh Downs is a good draft pick despite his injury. Of course, we have a 4 to 6 week timeline on him. Like I said, 2 weeks have passed already since that 4 to 6 week timeline. So worst case, he misses 2 weeks. There's 2 weeks until the NFL season starts, so, maybe he sits out week 1 and he plays the rest of the year. You're getting him at a very good discount. I would be inclined to draft him, but the downfall on a guy like Josh Downs is that if he's not going to be there week 1 and Adonai Mitchell shines and absolutely shows his potential that I think he is capable of having in the NFL, then it could be that much harder for Josh Downs to gain fantasy value, but this pick doesn't really cost you a lot to begin with, so why not just shoot your shot if you don't know who else to take at the end of your drafts? But that's all I have for you guys today. If you like this video, make sure you smash the like button for me. I would really appreciate it. It helps my videos get out to more and more viewers that are interested in fantasy football content. And again, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe. Doesn't cost you a thing and is worth its weight in gold to me. So that's it. My name is Turtle. I'm signing out and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.